That we started last week on the Blackfish, on the tautog, and I'm happy to report we got one. Let's go. Let me show him to you. He's in the bleed bucket right now. Look at there. We did it. And I just pretty much did the same thing I showed you guys in my last tog video. So take a look at that if you want to see how I catch it. All right, guys, we made it back home. And as you can see, I'm putting down a glass cutting board over my wooden one, and I'm also covering it in a towel. That is because this fish is extremely slippery and slimy. It gets this way because it lives in rocks, and it's one of its defense mechanisms. To help me fillet this fish, I want to try to get a little bit of friction in there. Another thing I want you to notice is how thick the tail on this fish is. Now, tautog or tog are thought of as one of the hardest fighting inshore fish. And I believe it's because of this tail. Look at the thickness compared to the rest of its body. This thing can really whip it around, and that provides an excellent defense mechanism as it's living in the rocks. All right, so we're scoring this fish, and of course my son is helping me out here. This is one of his favorite things to do. And we're just gonna outline this fish. You hear that sound? That's a good sound. Perfect. And I'm gonna stand this fish up here on its stomach because I want you to be able to see inside how nice and white this fish is. This isn't typically the way you would fillet a fish, but I want you to be able to see this. And I can't really maneuver the camera around my son safely. So I figure it's okay if I botch the fillets a little bit in order to show you how snow white the flesh is on this fish, not only after you bleed it, but also just because this is the type of fish that it is, right? So, hey, again, this is why people really enjoy this fish. People compare it to sea bass. I have not had the fish yet. I'm excited to try it out. I hear that it's pretty firm. And as I'm cutting the fish, I also notice the firmness as well. This makes it pretty easy to fillet. The next thing I'm doing, I'm cutting around the rib cage. So because this fish lives in the rocks and feeds on crabs, it's gonna have a pretty wide stomach in order to digest it. And it's not gonna be a lot of meat around that rib cage. So I'm trying to maneuver around it. Of course, you know, I'm probably gonna miss a few spots here or there, but ultimately there's not a lot of meat around that rib cage. I see a little bit of blood sticking out. I know, Daddy, I tried to get all the blood out that I could. All right, let's just attach that, and we're gonna flip it over and do it all over again. Look at that. I mean, that looks like good eating to me. I haven't had it yet, but I'm very excited at this point. Let's turn it over and start over. Just cutting alongside the head, going behind that fin, and getting to the rib cage, trying not to go into the rib cage. You know, I know a lot of people are curious about what's in the fish's stomach. That's not necessarily my style. I have nothing against that, but I'm going to try not to open that rib cage because I don't want that getting on my fillets. So I'm trying to be very gentle around that. And as you can see here, I'm just following the outline that I created earlier and then just trying my best to hit the bones as I am carving the fillets from the backbone. And hey, look, this is my only keeper for the day. I'm not too concerned about, you know, speed here. I'm trying to really extract as much meat off this fish as I can. Boom. Hey, we got that one off. So as you can see, I think we did a pretty decent job, you know, on my first try of trying to fillet a tog. You know, I left a little bit of meat there on that backside when I was trying to show you the up and down view of this, but all in all, I'm pretty happy with that fillet job. Next thing I'm gonna do is try to get out the cheeks. So tog do have, you know, a decent amount of meat on the cheeks. The way you do this is just you outline right around the jaw. It's gonna be a, you know, a circular kind of motion. You can feel for it, it's rather soft. And I just follow the knife around that outline and then cut it out. And honestly, the skin just peels right off. So it's pretty easy to extract. Now off camera, this was actually my first bite of the fish. I I just took a blowtorch and I'm like, I just can't wait. I want to taste it. And I took a blowtorch to one of the cheeks, and I must say, I was pretty impressed. I didn't put any salt on it, anything. And it has a really nice, like, tasty yet mild flavor. So again, this is probably why it's thought of as one of the best inshore eating fish in this area. I think we did a good job here. I'm happy with that. And we're gonna honor this fish as well. So, all right, let's take off the skin. You can actually cook this with the skin on if you were to scale it. I'm not scaling it here today, so I'm gonna knock the skin off. And again, I'm really just shocked at how firm this fish is. I think I was being a little too delicate, so you'll see I left a little bit of meat on there. We'll clean that up on the next go round. But hey, you know, all you wanna do here is get your knife underneath the meat and right upon the skin. You know, I'm lucky to have a pretty sharp knife here. That I'm probably making this look harder than what it is, but honestly, I'm just pulling the skin and the fish fillet is coming right off. All right, that's my first time filleting tog, so you know, hey, I left a little bit of meat there, but that's okay. We'll fix it on this one. All right, again, just rubbing my knife through. Again, being extra cautious. I got my son right here as well. So, and hey, look at there. There's not a lot of meat left on that skin. I'm getting the hang of it. You know, fillet number 2 down on my first tog ever. I'm actually pretty proud of this. There we go. All right, the next thing I want to do is look for pin bones. These fish do have pin bones, like most fish that look like this do. And I'm just running my finger around, you know, that side of where the bones are to try to see where they start and stop. I don't want to take too much meat off as I'm extracting the pin bones. I'm gonna end up doing that anyway because, again, this is my first time filleting this fish, so, you know, I wanna make sure that I get all the pin bones out. But I think I was a little bit too cautious in this area, so I took out more meat than what I needed to. But as you can see, you know, I did actually leave some pin bones behind, right? So I'm having to go back in and then make another extraction. You know, this is definitely an area that takes a little bit of practice, and but hey, it still won't stop this fish from tasting good once we eat it. So we got our 2 fillets, let's go. All right guys, moving on to day 2. As you can see, I have the fish wrapped up here. For today's recipe, I'm gonna be using parsley, tarragon, garlic, lemon, Parmesan cheese, salt, pepper, capers, and I also have some shallots here and some butter, which I'll make into a shallot butter sauce a little bit later on. But first of all, we need to start chopping up our herbs. And with the parsley, I'm using about 1/4 cup, and I'm gonna chop it real fine and start adding in maybe two or so tablespoons of tarragon. I really don't measure this stuff. It's really all about a feel and just get an understanding of how big a dish you're actually cooking. But the key thing is that you want to be mostly parsley in this, and then adding a little bit of tarragon in there to give it that, that's an interesting flavor. So that's what we're doing here in this dish. Now, as you can see, I'm chopping up everything real fine here. And I'm gonna get maybe 1 clove, maybe 2 cloves of garlic in this case. And I'm gonna use a garlic press to actually press this out. You could also dice it up as well. If you don't have a garlic press, that works perfectly fine. All right, next I'm going to add the Parmesan cheese. I'm gonna grate the Parmesan cheese in here, and I say I'm probably using maybe 2 to 3 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese. This is fresh off the block, but again, you guys can use whatever you have available. Lemon zest is really gonna brighten up this dish. We got a lot of heavy notes in here. This is really gonna be a good addition. And next is the panko. I did not feature the panko when I first did the layout of all the ingredients because we didn't actually have it. My wife went to the store to get it, but panko is gonna add that crunch, and the crunch is really gonna set this dish off on a whole nother level. So highly recommend you guys get the panko. And it's time to start preparing the fish. I want to make sure that my fish fits into the smallest container possible here because you'll see how the final presentation will look. But I want it to look like just a one big casserole of fish, if you will. So as you can see here, I'm gonna start measuring this up. Next, I'm gonna hit both sides with salt and pepper. I do want to provide salt and pepper directly to the fish on both sides. All right, next, in order to make our mixture stick to the fish, I'm going to add some butter here. And I say I'm adding maybe 3 tablespoons of butter in total. Now I am putting the mixture on, and I'll try to cover all parts of the fish. Again, it's gonna make a wonderful, wonderful crust sauce once it settles in the oven. You can see there I have a little bit of butternut squash going as well. I've already cooked the mac and cheese, which you'll see a little bit later on. But while the fish is in the oven, I want to start preparing my brown butter sauce, and then the shallots are going to kind of be the feature of this. So I'll spend a little bit of time dicing this up. The fish has been in the oven at 425 for about 10 minutes. And as you can see there, I'm checking the bottom to see if it is cooking, baking from the bottom. Now I want to start cooking it from the top, so I'm gonna put it in the broiler at 425 degrees for 8 to 10 minutes. All right, now my brown butter, I'm getting that mixed up. As you can see, the color will start changing to amber pretty quickly, so keep your eyes on that. After I get it brown to the color that I like without burning it, I'm gonna start adding the shallots, toss those around really quickly, and spritz maybe about half a lemon in there to make the sauce. All right, let me check on my fish. All right, that's looking good. A little bit browner in one spot than what I like, but honestly, this looks great. Now I do notice, I'm touching it for firmness. I do notice that it is a little soft in some areas, so I'll put it back into the oven to finish at 425 for another 3 or 4 minutes so that the rest of the fish can cook. Next, I'm adding the capers to my brown butter sauce, and this thing is done. If you like this type of content, please be sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel. Hey, this is Sovereign Living at its finest. And the finished product, and guys, this is smelling so good. The herbs are really coming through. There is so much flavor going on in this thing where it would really be impressive if you were to cook this for your family or your friends. And there is the final product, guys. All right, I'm plating it up with my homemade mac and cheese. I got a video on that. You can watch it in 2 minutes. I'll put the card up here. Thank you for joining us today, and I'll let my wife take it away. Go. All right, taste test, taste test, taste test. Let's see. First time talk. Can you talk about it? What do you think?
I'll talk about the fish itself before I get onto the seasoning. It's a heartier fish, definitely reminiscent of sea bass, but still has a little bit of flakiness. But if you're looking for something that's just going to give you a bit more oomph and hold up to more seasonings, and like variety styles of cooking,
agreed. That's good.
How will do that.
Yep.
And then on the preparation, oh my gosh, the lemon and the butter. Did you brown the butter?
Yeah, I browned the butter.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for shallots, and then with the capers, perfect complement to the butter. This is supposed to be lunch tomorrow, but
oh no. All right, let's go eat our plates. Let's say that for lunch tomorrow.
So good, perfect, spot on.
You want to sign us out?
Y'all, this is it. That was another episode of Sovereign Living. Not much else to say after that. Peace out.